Now welcome to the Rob Johnson Sports Show, presented by the Legacy Maker Sports Network.
What's going on, everybody? Listen, y'all, this has been one of the crazier days I have ever had. We're not going to talk about that right now, but with me tonight is Darrell Owens, the founder and operator of the Legacy Maker Sports Network. How you doing tonight, Darrell?
Now, I'm good, Rob. I promise you I'm good. I can't complain too much.
Hey, man, listen, I got to slow down, man.
Hey, look, I think that's all of us a little bit, bro. Like the running and gunning is a lot. So I can understand.
But besides my shenanigans, let's talk about the Washington Commanders. Darrell, you were there on Thursday night against the Chicago Bears, where Justin Fields threw for 282 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. You had Sam Howell, who threw for 388 yards, 37-51, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. From your perspective, everybody wants to pile on the Commanders. Let's talk about what the Bears did. What did the Bears do in this game that helped them win?
I will say there was 2 things that I was really impressed with. Finally, it looks like they were taking care of Justin Fields. I think that was probably one of the biggest things I took away from it. And Justin was rarely under any pressure throughout the night. And especially when you know that the Commanders have that much talent on their defensive front, and they were able to protect them, and they did a really good job of it. And then that gave Justin Fields the time to really show off, and him and DJ Moore connecting the way we thought they would connect throughout this season. Maybe not as good as we saw, but we knew that we would see something that was a little bit better, and I think we got a sample of that. The other part of that would be, for me, the defensive line. I thought the defensive line played extremely well. That may not be saying too much with the way the Commanders' offensive line has been, but I think what they did do is they did a good job of holding Brian Robinson to well below his season average. And with them being able to do that, when Sam Howell is your leading runner, that's a tough go. But their defensive line, every time Sam went back, they collapsed the pocket. And when he had to step up, he had to go right into the defensive line. So I thought the defensive line played exceptionally well. And then the lines, the defense and the offensive line did their thing. I think if it wasn't for them too, maybe we don't get that big of a blowout. And that's tough to even say. But yeah, I mean, it was very impressive on those 2 ends.
And for you saying that Brian Robinson only having 6 carries for 10 yards is unacceptable, in my opinion, from an offensive standpoint. The last thing I'm going to get to before I get to the ultimate question with Commanders is, Darrell, 4 receptions on 5 targets, 49 yards. That is unacceptable for that to happen with a guy like Terry McLaurin. We've been on record. I've told you before, I don't want him to end up being like the next Andre Johnson. What do the Commanders need to do to get him the ball more? Because 5 targets is not enough.
It's crazy because I will say this. I think Sam does a pretty decent job of distributing like evenly, I would say. But I also will say about that, when you have a guy like Terry McLaurin, you have to find ways to get him the ball. You got to find ways. What was that, Rob?
I said he's a fire starter,
Yeah.
Pro to Legacy on fire. He's a fire starter.
Exactly. And when you don't have Terry McLaurin going, it's weird. I'll say this, and a lot of people, I mean, when you know how it is, when you're on the sideline of the game, you kind of see things that people won't see on TV. So when the Commanders were driving down the field on that drive, when the score was 30-20, and before they decided to take that field goal, they had took Terry out of the game, which maybe I was like, okay, maybe he's a blow, but they took him out for a couple plays, and I'm like, why do you have your best receiver on the sideline when you're trying to drive down the field to get this game just a little bit closer? Because a touchdown in that situation changed the whole complexity of this game, and it's a 30-27 game. Heck, if you make the field goal, it's a different story of the game, and the momentum kind of stays. But you could see Terry on the sideline itching to get back in. He thought he was about to go back in, and then the coaches pulled him back off. And this happened a couple times. And I was like, it was like at least twice that he was about to go back on the field and they held him off. And then right before Sly ended up kicking missing the field goal, they brought him back on the field. And I'm like, when you have a dog like Terry, unless he's hurt, you don't take him out. You got to find ways to get him the ball. They're different when he's getting the ball. They're different, Rob. And the thing is, he's not getting the ball. I would even say the thing about Dotson. I feel like Dotson, even though they were trying to get on the ball, it just wasn't connecting. It's something that, like, if they can find a way to get those two guys going, the sky's the limit. I mean, well, it's good to see Logan Thomas getting this thing, though. I will say that Logan Thomas is playing well, but you got to get those two guys going.
Yes. Now, this is the last question on the Commanders. Here's the issue for the Commanders. It looks like Desmond Ridder is starting to get it going, which is not a good thing for anybody in the South. And nobody can see because that team's got talent. We've talked about in the offseason. The Giants, Daniel Jones goes down with neck injury. I feel as if Tyrod Taylor comes in, he's going to breathe life into that offense. A lot of people don't think that. But when you're playing against Daniel Jones, you got a chance to get 2-3 picks a game. Tyrod Taylor takes care of the ball. Plus, he's a dynamic player, just as Jones is, but he has another dimension of being dynamic. Then you got the Eagles. That closes out their October. Darrell, is this 3-game stretch make or break real quick for the Washington Commanders?
It is. It definitely is. And the sad thing about it was, at the beginning of the season, I remember saying, like, hey, if they can get into the Chicago game and they're 2-2 at the minimum, they got a really good chance to run off 3 games before they take on Philly. And can they beat Philly? Yes, we've seen that they could beat Philly. They're right up there. It's like that division field. They got a chance at it.
Bro, that's the problem. Philly hasn't woken up yet.
And that's the thing. They had a golden opportunity, Rob, and they failed at it when they needed it the most. Yes. They needed that win. If they get that win, the loss to Chicago sucks, but you beat the Eagles. And then you're still 3-2 heading into this 3-game stretch. Now it becomes a problem because, hey, this can go from a 3-game winning streak to what could be a 3-game losing streak because the Falcons are playing well. They just beat the Texans, who have been playing pretty decent football, and they went. They were at home. They're gaining some momentum. Desmond Ridder, as we're learning, doesn't lose at home. Yes. He came back and beat the Packers a couple of weeks ago. He came and did what they needed to do against the Texans, and they win that one. And then the other kicker is they got the Giants in a couple of weeks. And yes, the Giants are not playing great football right now, but guess what? The Giants have the Commanders' number. Like, they beat them twice last year.
Watch the Giants. They've been playing decently on defense. They just need somebody on offense. And then, we talk about the Eagles. But going to their November, then we'll move on. They have the Patriots, who we know they're not going to be bad all year. They've shown signs. Then you go to Seattle. You get the Giants again. And then you get the Thanksgiving Day game against Dallas, who's still thinking about the last game of the season. Right. And then the Dolphins and yada, yada, yada. So this is an important stretch for this team.
It's critical, Rob. December is tough. That December is tough. Like, at the beginning of the season, I didn't really pay attention to it. But when you have to deal with you get the Dolphins,
and 49ers, and then potentially a possible playoff to get to the playoff game between Dallas and the end of the season, because nobody's catching Philly. I'm just going to keep it honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's just where it looks like. And that's the position they're going to be in headed into the end of the month. The only game, and not even really a gimme, because the Jets defense is legit, is the Jets game. That's probably the only one you'd be like, oh, they got a good shot at that. The Rams.
Imagine Zach Wilson can figure it out somehow.
Yeah, I mean,
the Jets are a dangerous team.
Agreed.
We're going to move on. Speaking of a dangerous team, Darrell, this team right here.
Oh, boy.
Post last night on Facebook, and you basically, I'm just paraphrasing here, you called them the cream of the crop. And you know who's not the cream of the crop? This team right here, the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys may still have a decent season because we've seen things. We go back to 1992 when the Cowboys won the Super Bowl. They lost to the Philadelphia Eagles 31-7, got blown out, beat the Eagles 2 more times, including the playoffs. But this is in 1992, ladies and gentlemen. This San Francisco 49ers team is deep. They're dangerous. They're deep at running back. They're deep on defense. Fred Warner is the best player on defense in the National Football League. Start giving this man more credit out of BYU. Darrell, give you 2 minutes. Tell us, sir, why the San Francisco 49ers are the most dangerous team in the National Football League.
They're just – all right, so there's a couple of things that have been popping in my head the more I look at this 49ers team. On my power rankings, which, shameless plug, which will come out on Thursday for Thursday night, I've had the 49ers in the power rankings number 1 every week since week 1, except for the other week when the Dolphins had that 70 burger. And I probably should have just left it the way I had it after the way they played the next week. Anyway, looking at this 49ers team, they just have it from top to bottom. You got Ayuk at the receiver position. You got Samuel at the receiver position. Just great guys, just great players. Then just when I started to think, man, George Kittle is a shell of his former self. What does he do? He goes out there and scores 3 touchdowns last night. So just when I just thought he got dormant, here he comes. That offensive line is legit. Christian McCaffrey is the MVP right now in my mind. He is the MVP right now. And that's tough to say because he's got a guy.
Hold on, Darrell. We got to get some love to Brock Purdy now.
Well, see, that's where I was going with that. That's where I was going with that, Rob. He's got a guy in the back, right beside him in the backfield, and Brock Purdy, who right now, and I'll probably get crucified for this, has a lot of Brady-like tendencies.
He does.
It may be small things here and there, but he's got Brady-like tendencies. And I need people to understand. I'm not calling him Tom Brady, but he's doing things right now that if you remember Brady's first run with New England and how clean it was in the beginning and when he first got the job, Brock is having a lot of those things. He's taking care of the football. You can call him a system quarterback. Well, it doesn't matter. He is taking care of that ball in that system, and he has not lost as a starting quarterback. And that he's and played the entire game. So
about something, he's playing better than Brady because not only does he have better weapons than Brady had, there's one thing you can say: they both have the caliber of defense. That Patriots defense never got the credit they deserved as far as the defense they were. The Ty Laws, the Willie McGinnises of the world, etc. Brock Purdy's actually playing better than Brady. Brady didn't start playing like Purdy until 2007.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you, Darrell, that this guy is already acting like 2007 Brady? He was Mr. Irrelevant. He wasn't even supposed to. See, look at that. You see what that was?
Yeah.
That was Michael Parsons looking for a sack. Michael Parsons looking for a sack because when he plays elite defense, it's an elite quarterback like Brock Purdy. He can't get to the quarterback. That team is elite. And I want to give you this. Ask you this last point, Darrell. Today, as of what is today? October the 9th, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
How much are the Washington Commanders regretting getting rid of or letting Trent Williams walk through the door? Because he is a certified Hall of Famer, and he, my friend, is looking like if he continues to do what he's doing, he could be looked at as one of the greatest left tackles in NFL history. And I'm not using hyperbole.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you bring it up.
He should get MVP consideration as well.
It's funny you bring it up. Earlier, I was on Drew Willingham's Commanders Gridiron report. Shout out to Drew Willingham, Turtle Media. And when we were talking about it on there, it was exactly that. I brought that up to him. I said, you know what, man? Like Trent Williams right now, could you imagine if the Commanders had Trent Williams at left tackle protecting Sam Howell? It's a completely different dream. Nobody's getting past Trent Williams. And let's be honest with you, the way he treated our guy Parsons last night, that I was surprised because I mean, Parsons does a really good job, man. He's one of the best defensive players in the league, and the way that Trent Williams played last night against him, I was impressed. And I shouldn't be impressed per se, because Trent Williams is Trent Williams. He's a future Hall of Famer. But just watching how dominant he was last night, I said, wow, that's impressive. I say, just imagine Washington had him and they let him go.
Well, just imagine. It's like Trent Williams was from the city school and looks like Michael Parsons was the pampered prep school kid. That's what Michael Parsons was just straight up soft. Now, Darrell, let's go to college football. I want to highlight two things for you and the crowd. First, let's talk about the Red River rivalry. My God.
Gabriel. Forces touchdown, Nick Anderson.
Brett Venables strikes again. They hold Texas at the 1-yard line. Oklahoma gets the win. They move into the top 10. Darrell, talk about Oklahoma and just how important that win was and just how crazy it makes college football right now.
Well, it's a big win for one. If you're a Big 12 fan, I would cry. I would be crying because you're about to see two of your breadwinners head over to the SEC, and that's what the SEC is about to get for the next couple of years. Texas is on the way back. Oklahoma, who's been solid for the last 10 years, with pretty much no hiccups in there. What you saw last night was that rivalry coming back into full throttle. Not last night. I meant to say Saturday, and it was great to see, man. It was great to see.
True, but guess who's coming to town though? Colorado and Deion Sanders.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I think so. Just think about it, Darrell. They were on the Pac-12 network, who basically has no viewers because nobody knows where it is, and they still had views. In fact, when Colorado plays Stanford this upcoming Friday night, it will probably set a record. Who watches Stanford? I like Stanford. You like Stanford? Who watches
I have nothing against
It's going to set a record. Now
they're gonna be in the ACC next year anyway, so we're gonna have to watch them.
Exactly. Now let's go local because we like to make sure that we talk about the local teams we cover. Talk about UVA. They won 27-13. William & Mary gave them a scare, Darrell, but talk about UVA and how important that was as they try to make some noise going to the rest of the season.
It was much needed, Rob. You look at it was you already look, it was much needed. Here's the thing. I think a lot of people, you'll hear a lot of people downplay, especially if you go on these like fan sites. You know how it is on social media now. You go on a fan site and they will just crucify somebody. You can't lose a game, can't have a great game and lose and still be whatever. But anything, with all that being said, all I've heard in the last year, even after Tony Elliott got hired, was, oh, he needs to be gone. He's not Bronco. He's not this. He's not that. And the thing is, his first season, he had more wins than Bronco did in his first season, and they still give him a lot of grief. But my thing is, he went into this season, and a lot of people, it just, all right, I'm gonna back up a little bit. It makes me mad because a lot of people want to give him like the bad end of the stick, but what they don't understand is this is year 2 for him, not even a full-blown year 2. And in that process, he lost all of his offensive line last year, and they all transferred out when Bronco left. He lost a lot of big pieces. Now, he did have Dontavian Wicks, and he still had some pieces, but it just never materialized under his style and what he wanted his team to be. So, Brennan leaves, and now Brennan's not even playing at NC State. Like, he's on the bench at NC State. So some people will say maybe grass is not green on the other side. But now he's not playing. Tony Elliott had to deal with one of the worst tragedies in college football history to lose 3 of your players the middle of the season. And then he still had to somehow be the guy that comforts the university and comfort the fans and comfort the, and had to comfort the parents and the players. He had to do all of that.
Yes.
And people gave him
I hate to cut you off, but think about this. And you probably had idiots. And I mean idiots.
Oh,
who were probably sending him and sending the university all types of threats and idiotocracy about, oh, you're not playing tech. You're not playing tech. I guarantee you it happened.
Oh, I bet I put money on it too. I would not be surprised if that happened, Rob. I promise you I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. And I think the sad part about it all is, that he's pretty much got a brand new team. If you go look at that roster from top to bottom, Malachi Fields was on there last year. He had some good moments. Anthony Corlandia, who played when Tony Muskett was out, who was a transfer from Monmouth. It's pretty much a brand new team. He's still reconstructing an offensive line, and he still gets a lot of grief. Now, I say all that to say, it was looking rough, and there was a lot of situations. They could easily be 3-2 right now. Maybe like 2-3 or whatever. They should already have won. They had Maryland up by 4. They was up 14-0 on Maryland, and they just let Maryland score 42 points. Then they were up 21-7 on Boston College, and then they let them come back and win. So those are 2 games that it hurts them. Now, with this game, it still wasn't pretty. I agree with you 100%. William & Mary came out there and did their thing. That defensive line at William & Mary, no joke. Lynn is going to be a pro.
Nate Lynn.
Nate Lynn is going to be a pro.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've taken pictures. You've seen on Legacy Sports Network. Remember the number 99.
Yes.
Nate Lynn. He will be playing on Sundays.
He will be playing on Sundays.
About it.
He's tough. He's one of the best defensive players, not just in Division II or not in all of college football. And people are going to find out, like Rob said, here very, very soon. And they gave UVA a lot of problems at the beginning of that game. That defensive line was all over Tony Muskett. And it wasn't until, you can see the deficiencies in the William & Mary offense, especially playing a Division I school, where they just couldn't keep up with what Virginia had. And so they gave them a fight. And it was good to see Virginia get a win, but they had to win this game.
Yeah.
They had no choice, Rob. They had no choice but to win. Did they lose this game? He might have got fired. That's how I felt about that.
Well, shout out to Richmond, who beat Maine. They won 42-1. Those teams will be playing each other at the end of the season. William & Mary and Richmond. Virginia's next 2 games, unfortunately, actually their next 4 games at North Carolina, at a very mad Miami team.
Man, that's gonna be rough.
Georgia Tech at Louisville versus Duke, and then the annual rivalry on November the 25th against Virginia Tech. Speaking of Miami, Darrell, check this out, buddy.
Oh boy, here we go.
Who was he really coaching? Who was he really coaching? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to take you through 25 seconds of some of the worst video in the history of college football.
He is doing.
That's it.
And here's Chaney. The straight ahead, tackled, and the ball popped out.
You got to read the clock. Read the card. To me,
Georgia Tech has it with 26 seconds from the pocket. Flush to his right with 6, 5. Going to loop it downfield. And ball is caught. Touchdown, Georgia Tech.
Somebody threw something on the field at the end. Hey, that was somebody pissed, bro. They threw the ball further than the Georgia Tech guy. Hey, look, I'm not gonna lie to you, Rob. When I woke up, I didn't watch the game fully. I do remember I do remember you being upset. And so when I got a chance to watch the clip, I said, wow, I cannot believe that happened. It's one of the worst coaching decisions that I've ever seen. And it sucks because, like, talk to, Crystal Ball at ACC Media Day, and he seems like a guy that's got his head on right, just based off of conversation. That people get fired for stuff like that. And I know I'm not trying to have the man lose a job, but there are some very upset Miami fans, including my brother, who's a diehard Hurricane fan. He was ready to throw a TV out a window.
Listen, man,
you can't do that.
Bro, you can tell the people, I am one of the most unbiased journalists that ever walked the planet. I will slander the Cowboys. I will slander everything. But as my fandom mortality feels like it's coming to an end, I just wonder what's going on. Dallas gets slaughtered by 100. The Braves are down 4-0, which I told you the Phillies were going to just be the cream of the crop. I don't know why Atlanta keeps going for the 1 seed. They got to go against the Phillies every season. And then Mario Cristobal with 31 seconds had a chance to kneel on the ball. And what does he do, Darrell? He decides to do what?
It doesn't make sense.
And the defense, Darrell, already has got comfortable. They're like, we don't have to go back on the field. We're good. And this week they're going to North Carolina. And I think me and you both can agree. They're going to get beat by 40.
It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. And it's bad because Miami as a school, as a culture, this is not what they needed. For the last, 10, 15 years, they've been trying to find the right guy to come in there and be the guy in Miami. Mm-hmm. And so they bring back an alumni. They brought back alumni a couple of times. They bring back in a guy who went to Miami, was a part of the Miami, the culture. And no, I mean, it's really sad to see. I did like something you said. Could you imagine if they had brought Deion Sanders in and it would have been a whole different dream? First of all, Florida State would have been because if they had made that move, Miami, it would have been different. And I know he would have been called a traitor, but it would have been great.
And they can still make it because Miami's got deep enough pockets where they can be like, hey, bro, here's $100 million. Listen, the way Deion is doing right now in Colorado, man, honestly,
it's remarkable.
Tonight, this man, if you're gonna do anything, bring him in, you got to start at least with 100.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, what's the coach's name from Michigan State?
Mel Tucker.
Yeah, Mel Tucker. If Mel Tucker got $80 million, what is Deion gonna get? Well,
that's the thing now.
Bruh.
Colorado took they had their eyes closed and hoping. They said, look, man, they had enough confidence in Deion that he would eventually, they didn't even have the money to pay the man. And they said that they felt that by, Deion coming in, that they would be able to do it. Now they're going to be able to do it. If he left Colorado, a couple of years ago, people thought it was a joke. He is a program changer. He's going to change whatever. He would get so much money, it would be stupid. I wouldn't even be laughing. He might get $200 million.
He has single-handedly reinvigorated college football.
Right, by himself.
People are excited for Darrell. People are more excited for Saturdays now than they are for Sundays.
Well, but it's funny, Rob, because I kind of agree with you on that. Like the hype that has come around, just Colorado, it's been amazing. But college football, and we've all felt this way, I believe, was kind of going in the direction where we're like, okay, what's going on here? Transfer portals going all over the place. The teams are moving and they're making these mega conferences all the way around. And it's like, it doesn't feel like the same college football. And then Deion Sanders comes out of not out of nowhere, but then Deion Sanders comes to the forefront on the big stage, and shout out to all his work at Jackson State. But now he comes on the big stage, in a lot of people's eyes. And since he's gotten there, it's been big TV. Like ESPN is just drooling out of the mouth at all of the stuff that they're getting from this. I mean, I was at that Colorado State game, and I'm telling you, like, the energy in there is insane. And people staying up to 2:00 in the morning to watch they don't even do that for the NBA finals. People don't stay up for the NBA finals and stuff like that to stay on West Coast games.
They were doing it back then in the USC Reggie Bush days.
Yeah.
But
it's been 20 years though since we see stuff like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I will say this, guys, before we get ready to get off of here, I will say this, and Darrell, just give me like a quick 30 seconds on this, because tell people what this game is going to mean. Right now, it's looking like Virginia State and Virginia Union probably going to be undefeated going in that game.
It's going to be huge.
We're going to get some HBCUs. Talk about how 30 seconds. How electric is that going to be if both teams are undefeated playing at Union last game?
Okay, I was about to say, is that Union, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be crazy.
I was the other night. Charles City County was playing against what's the school name? The Justices. The Justices.
Oh, John Marshall.
John Marshall. Shout out to John Marshall. But yeah, I was just at school. Pretty field.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see what that's gonna look like. It's gonna be, man, it's gonna be crazy. And if they can both be undefeated when that game comes around, it's going to be electric.
And then for Virginia State to beat Norfolk State, who's going to probably be in the CAA and probably the next, I don't know. 5
yeah,
years.
I mean, don't be surprised, because the CIAA is slowly but surely picking out HBCUs, and they got Hampton, and they got North Carolina. I think A&T is also gone, so they're picking.
And Hampton's in the CAA.
Yes.
With like William and Mary and all that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think I want to say it's either North Carolina, A&T. One of them are coming into the CIAA. I keep saying CAA, my fault. That's what you're at. So the CAA, they already got 2 HBCUs, and they're gonna probably end up grabbing another one here soon. Yeah. So it's just, which is good though. That's a good thing for HBCUs, because now they're getting that higher platform. And Hampton is 3-1 right now. They're looking good. So it's one of those things, man, that it's really. What's that, Rob?
Stanford of the East. A lot of people don't know.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what that game's going to be like. I got to check my schedule to see what day that game is, because I really want to go to that one. Unless I'm, I don't know, who knows where I'll be at, because I'll be honest with you. I have no clue. I'm supposed to be doing Michigan and Maryland in November, so I'm intrigued to see what that's going to be.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, tonight at 11 o'clock, I'm coming back with episode 29. We're working out here, ladies and gentlemen. We're working. Hey,
man, y'all stay up with Robb Johnson, man, and burn the midnight oil, man, and get some good stuff from, Robb's going to talk raw, all that good stuff.
Yeah, make sure you got to tune in as well, because we will be talking the first 15 minutes about baseball, not too much about the Braves because they're getting whooped right now. But we're going to talk about baseball.
At least your team made the playoffs.
Yeah. We're going to talk about the Packers and the Raiders, which I think is going to be a really decent game tonight. And then at 11:15, everybody, we're going to do a breakdown of Raw, a Raw review, and it is going to be great. And then tomorrow at 1 p.m., I give you my NBA preview, which I have something from the great Tyrone Montgomery who give you his NBA preview as well.
Sweet.
Darrell, thank you, sir, for coming on the show. Thanks for being here and for your hospitality. Any last words before we get off here?
No, man, I just, thank you for having me on, and, y'all make sure y'all go out there, follow the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and just, thank you for all the continued support, and that's all I really have. I just, the grind is the grind. You know how it is, Rob, and, we just pushing and trying to do the best way we can, and just trying to grow in this industry and try to show you that, we got the goods, and that's pretty much what it is.
And shout out to Bowie TV, shout out to Jonathan Mathis, shout out to Drew Willingham,
yes.
Shout out to Fago Franklin III. We don't agree on anything, but hard. So you know what? I got to give the man credit. Yeah, that's one thing about me, man. I'm gonna give everybody credit. If anybody I missed, I'm sorry. I'll try to give you a shout out next time. Shout out to all the shows out there, the Playmaker, yada yada yada. I'm gonna get some of y'all on here. But Darrell, thanks again, my friend.
Always, brother.
Show, and we'll see y'all next time.
Peace.